All right, welcome. Today we're going to demystify something called variance analysis. This is the powerful tool businesses use to really understand the story behind their numbers. We're going to break down how companies go from just a simple budget to a deep understanding of what's actually driving their performance.
So let's start with a situation I'm sure you've been in. You make a personal budget, right? But things almost never go exactly according to plan. Maybe you blew the grocery budget or an unexpected bill pops up. The bottom line is the final numbers just don't match what you wrote down at the beginning of the month.
Well, businesses face this exact same problem, just, on a much, much larger scale. To figure out what happened and why their real results are different from what they budgeted, they use a formal process called variance analysis. It's the tool they use to really dig in and get to the why behind the numbers.
So, at its most basic level, what is a variance? It's really just the gap. It's the difference between what you planned to happen and what actually happened. Think of it as a little red flag that tells you something deviated from the plan, and it might be worth investigating.
Now, these differences aren't just numbers on a page. They actually have a direction, you could say. So if you bring in more revenue than you planned, that's what we call a favorable variance. Awesome. But if your costs shoot up higher than you budgeted, well, that's unfavorable. It all comes down to its effect on your income.
But think about it. You can't chase down every single penny. It would be a total waste of time, right? The idea isn't to investigate every tiny little difference. Instead, this lets managers focus their energy only on the big, significant variances. It's a super smart strategy called management by exception.
Okay, so where do we even start with all this? Let's look at the big picture first. How do you begin to unravel the story of what happened?
We kick things off with what's called the static budget variance. That's just the total, top-level difference between your original grand plan, the static budget, and what really went down, the actual results. This one number is like the cover of a mystery novel. It tells us there's a story inside, but we don't know the plot yet.
All right, so we've got our big number. But that's just the start of the investigation, right? A single number doesn't really tell us much on its own.
That one big variance, it tells us that we missed the mark, but it tells us absolutely nothing about why. And why is the million-dollar question. So to get answers, we've got to break it down, kind of like a detective dissecting clues at a crime scene.
And how do we do that? Well, we split that big total variance into two main culprits. You can see them here, the flexible budget variance and the sales volume variance. Each one of these answers a totally different question.
Let's take the sales volume variance first. This one's pretty straightforward. It asks one simple question. Did we sell more or less stuff than we planned to? It's all about the quantity, the sheer volume of sales.
Now, the other piece of the puzzle is the flexible budget variance. This one looks at our prices and our costs. It asks, for the number of units we actually sold, were our costs in line with the plan? Was our pricing what we expected? This really gets to the heart of how efficiently we operated.
But wait, it doesn't stop there. We can go even deeper. That flexible budget variance, we can crack that open and break it down even more into things like direct materials, direct labor, and factory overhead. It's like a Russian nesting doll of data. This lets you pinpoint exactly where things went right or wrong with incredible accuracy.
So, we've done all this digging, all this breaking down of numbers. What's the point of it all? What are we really trying to do here?
And this is so important. The whole point of variance analysis is not about playing the blame game. It's not about finding someone to point a finger at. The constructive, this smart approach is all about learning. It's about understanding the business on a deeper level so you can continuously improve.
When you think about it, it's this amazing feedback loop. It pinpoints exactly where you need to take action. It helps everyone understand the nuts and bolts of the operation. And yeah, it creates accountability, but it also helps you evaluate performance fairly and figure out, hey, maybe our original budget needs a little tweaking for next time.
So what this all does is it transforms the budget from this static document that just gets filed away and forgotten into a living, breathing tool for getting better. You're essentially turning hindsight into foresight. Because once you really understand the story of why you missed your numbers, what's to stop you from writing an even better story for the future?